Well, here we are, live in beautiful downtown Crestline in the San Bernardino Mountains of Southern California's Inland Empire, where I cannot sleep. I've been up for a couple hours and just can't get sleepy again. Tora says, yeah, me too. There she is. Well, your delivery of cat treats won't arrive till the afternoon, Tora. Let me see if I have any left in the stash here. Cats and kitties. I guess I have a couple. This one's almost empty. And there's 4 other cats acting like vultures. Let me see if Smoky Sue wants in. She wanted out. No, she isn't at the door. Life with cats. Okay. Sorry about that. Oh, Sweetie. Sweetie's such a good girl. Sweetie's in my thumbnail for this video. Yes, dear. She's in the dark. It isn't just my shadow. Well, yeah, you can eat that. I'm not going to touch your furry pelt. She hates to be touched. I don't know. Thought I might as well come online and socialize a bit. I got this notice from code enforcement. Where'd I put it? Criminy. I might have left it on the printer. This is it, I think. Oh, that's part of it. It isn't the page I want. There's the envelope. There's electric bill here. I was going to show you the pictures, but I kind of have to find them. Criminy. Ugh. Putter, putter, fiddle, fiddle. Here it is. It was on the printer. I made copies. That's my house. Come on. Kind of hard to see on the video, but because I can't hold it still. They want me to do weed abatement. Well, first they said there's pine cones on my roof. Those are shadows. Huh. The red stuff you see is the letters on the other side of the paper. That's just a great big shadow from a nearby tree. There's no pine needles. And then they said weeds. The other picture. That's my roses and my irises, roses. And you probably can't see, but here are a couple of tall hollyhocks. Those aren't weeds either. So I'm going, you want me to cut my roses? irises and hollyhocks down to 4 inches or less. And in the center of the picture is a workbench and a rack with some tools, garden tools mostly. They aren't weeds either. I don't know what they're talking about, so I wrote them a letter asking them to clarify and send me photos of the actual problem. Uh-huh. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, all kinds of things are happening in this world. Various government employees are getting their security clearance revoked. There's investigations of all kinds of stuff like Russiagate and I don't know. Brains fried. It's 4:48 in the morning, and I usually come on live at around 7, between 7 and 8 in the morning on Thursdays. And this is, by the way, Thursday, August 21 in 2025. I was kind of hoping some of my audience would also have insomnia. Sorry, my face looks awful. I had a biopsy on this thing, and it's also a little bit over here. I'm not looking forward to surgery, but it's got to be done. If I can get it scheduled. Meanwhile, I have this cream to put on the keratosis and other things. It's supposed to slow down or stop the growth of cancer. It isn't a deadly thing. It's just an ugly thing. Well, anyway, what else? ICE, National Guard, Washington, D.C. Various sanctuary cities defying orders from the federal government. Jeez. When you have a criminal in jail or prison, they're slightly different things. And the federal government wants them, you're supposed to turn them over. They refuse. One man in particular, I'm not sure which country, but it's from South America. He's been deported twice and sneaked back in twice. They don't want to turn him over to be deported again. He has convictions for some really bad crimes in the past. And no, it's sanctuary. It's been all over YouTube and various streams, podcasts, if you will. There's a nasty foxtail in my sleeve that keeps poking me. I might have to get my arm out of the sleeve to take care of that, but at least it stopped poking me. Foxtails are those weeds that look like wheat. If you've seen the picture of wheat on a box of Wheaties or other cereal, but they are not edible. They are toxic, and most people are at least somewhat allergic to them. They can be worse than ragweed. Oh, well. The cats track them into the house, and then the cats sleep on my blanket or my sweater or whatever and deposit foxtails on those things too. I can't keep these cats in the house. For one thing, there's 5 of them. I try to keep Tora and Sweetie inside. They're actually pets and not strays, but they go out as well. Anyway, they track in all kinds of stuff, and they bring me presents. A dead mouse is bad enough, but sometimes it's alive. I've tried to rescue things from them, a mouse or a lizard or a bird. I've done my best to rescue them and turn them loose outside. And then the cat looks at me like, well, it's the last time I bring you a present. But I guess they have short memories because eventually they do it again. Cats. They're actually replacing the wild predators that we've kind of driven out by building houses and stores and driving our cars and stuff. So on the one hand, without predators, to thin the population, the mice and rats would grow their population to the point where there wasn't enough food for them. And then they'd starve to death, or a disease would spread among them because there's so many and they're crowded. And they'll even fight among themselves when resources are scarce. But even so, I don't like it when one of my cats catches a critter and brings it in the house. There is a bobcat around here somewhere. I haven't seen him in years, so maybe he's moved on. I saw the mountain lion once. That was scary. And a bear tried to climb my fence, but the gigantic rose bush kind of got in his way. He did kind of crush the top rail of my chain link fence. Oh well. We had pretty deep snow, so we was on top of the snow just walking up to the fence. And it was still 2 or 3 feet higher than the snow. But he didn't make it into the yard because of the rose bush. I don't know how I got on this about critters. Well, hi, Jimmy. Listening in background. Well, welcome. 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 Tora, quit pawing me. I gave you treats. That's all you get. Cats are pests. Lord. Anyway, I'm just rambling today. Maybe I'll get out the kitchen tools. I was going to show them on the cooking channel, but I can show them here as well. As long as I'm here and people are watching, let me get them. They're odd things you don't often see. Okay, you cats gotta quit pestering me. Tora, you are a pest. Do not sit on my box. I'm taking things out of it. Okay. Open up. Come on. You probably know what this is. Some people don't. This is what people used before electricity in the kitchen. You turn this handle and the two beaters spin. It's an egg beater. And mostly I use it to beat eggs for scrambled eggs or for a recipe that calls for an egg. Yes, Jimmy, I get your emails. I'm super busy pulling weeds every stinking day. There are weeds. The code enforcement people just didn't take pictures of them. Anyway, this is cool. It'll whip up a batter for like pancakes or even a cake, but it doesn't do the heavy duty work that an electric mixer will do. And it's fun to play with, and it reverses depending on which way you turn the handle. Okay. It's been around for at least a couple 100 years. This, that ain't it. Get out of my way. Where'd it go? Come on. Okay. Criminy. Hang on. It's gotten under things. There, here it is. Where's the other one? Criminy. There. Here we go. I'm dropping things on the floor. Let's pull out the little ledge on my desk and get things. What did I drop and where did it go? See, it's dark in here. I don't have proper lighting. Where'd you go? Where'd my light go? Little portable light. Here. Come on. Don't fight me. There it is. Okay. This gadget has actually like saw blades. They have teeth. I couldn't find it anywhere till I looked up the manufacturer, Echo, ECKO. Oh, hi, Jen. Welcome in. I have your egg beater, eh? Cool. Well, anyway, this thing is a tomato slicer. It also works on a block of cheese. Yes, Jan knows it's a cheese slicer. I knew it was for slicing, but they call it a tomato slicer. It makes nice, rather thick slices of cheese or tomatoes, and I've also used it on Spam. So you don't want to use it on really rough, hard foods like a roast beef or something, but or a ham or a leg of lamb. But it works well on Spam because Spam is soft. And then I have nice slices, nice even thin slices to fry up and add to my mac and cheese. It's a thrift shop find. Okay, let's put that away. Now, okay, and put the egg beater away. That'll help if I have it out of the way. I'm sure you all know what a whisk is. For some people use the whisk for beating eggs. The egg beater works better and easier. Yeah, yeah. Toasted sandwiches under the grill. Well, the way I make grilled cheese is with one slice of bread, cheese on top, and then I either put it under the broiler to melt the cheese and the bread stays soft, or I put it in a frying pan with a little butter or oil. I like butter. And put the lid on and cook it till the cheese melts. Then the bottom of the bread turns black. It's charcoal. Some people don't like that, but I do like it. And it's good for digestion. Charcoal is good. It can soothe an upset stomach. And some people use activated charcoal, I think. Anyway, you can buy charcoal to swallow when your tummy's upset. Okay, you know what this is. It's a whisk, right? But what's this? This is for stirring pudding. The bottom scrapes the bottom of the pan. See, it's a ring, not just a flat, what do you call it? Spatula. You know, there's another word for the thing people often use. But this scrapes the bottom of the pan so that you don't get a buildup of burned cornstarch, or you might call it corn flour, on the bottom of your pan. Yeah, and it does stop the milk from boiling. Anything you stir with will it'll reduce the temperature. You want the pudding to cook, but once it starts bubbling, that tells you it's boiling, and you turn off the heat or take it off the heat, but you continue stirring maybe 30 seconds just to make sure it all stays mixed together. But I love this thing. And I've been using those silicone scraper thingies. I have one with holes in it so it doesn't splash as much as a regular one. There's another word for them besides spatula. I just can't come up with it. I always have trouble with that word. Now, here, this one is really interesting. I had to look it up. It's like a whisk, sort of. This is also an egg beater. It's for beating eggs. I imagine it would work for pudding too. But I have the pudding stirrer. And one last thing. It's just plastic. When you have a pot of noodles or rice or something and you want to pour off the water, this is supposed to go on the edge of the pan so you can pour out the water without losing the food that's in the water. But I don't use it, and I'll tell you why. The water gets on my hand and it's boiling and it's hot and it hurts and it burns. Yes, custard. Custard is like a pudding. Yeah, you can stir custard with that previous thing. But this, as I said, I don't use it because the water will um, get out of control and burn my hand. I just take a whisk. Not a. That's what. That's what the spatula thing is. It's a whisk, I think. No, the whisk is the. Never mind. The whisk is the stirring thing. Um, that's like the pudding stirrer. And what was I saying? Oh, I get a, what's the word? A strainer. And hold the strainer in one hand and the pot in the other and pour the water out through the strainer. And then I can just put the food back in the pot or into a bowl if I'm thinking straight and I have a bowl ready for mixing the cheese into the macaroni or whatever. It's safer. Well, hi, what's next? Welcome in. I'm supposed to come on live in 2 hours from now. I don't know if I'll be awake, but I couldn't sleep when I woke up at about 2:30 in the morning, and now it's about 9 minutes after 5. So what the heck? I'm going to ask Google. I have one more thing to show you, but first I'm going to ask Google other name for spatula. AI, well, you could call it a scraper. AI doesn't understand the question. Oh, in England, according to Google, you might call the spatula a turner or a flipper or a fish slice. You might call it a spreader. Well, apparently, Google doesn't know. Huh. Uh, let's see, I'll put the word silicone in my search. Bowl scraper, rubber scraper. Ah. I know there's another word, I just can't think of it. Flexible spatula? I don't know. Can't keep your days and nights straight. Well, did go to bed early, but it was almost 9 at night, and I woke up at 2 in the morning. That's only 2:30. Yeah, it's still 5.5 hours. I usually sleep a little more than that. But my back has been killing me from pulling weeds and raking weeds and bagging weeds. One last kitchen tool. I get a sheet of white paper or something to give you some contrast so you can see it. Um, this is one of those Tupperware goodies they give away when you buy stuff. I had a brief attempt to make money selling Tupperware. I lost money, but I got a lot of Tupperware. She's got a little round cup in the center and holes on the sides. This is an egg separator. You crack your egg and drop it into this goodie, and at least theoretically, if you don't break the yolk, the egg white will go out through those holes and the yolk will stay in the little bowl. That's the theory. But I'm a kitchen klutz. If I can mess something up, I will mess it up. But it's a nice thing that some people have great success with. So anyway, I've used these large plastic bags that are for lining your trash cans to bag up the weeds that I pull and chop and whack. Already, I started in late April, and I've already had 24 of those bags hauled away, and I still have more weeds to pull, but not very many. Probably at least 6 more of those bags. I'm also trimming back a blackberry vine in the backyard that just went wild, growing like crazy, but never gave me any berries. So I'm cutting it back to where it'll be very small, and I'll give it another year to start giving me blackberries before I consider demolishing it. But I have to get to the weeds that are underneath it anyway, so I'm trimming it really seriously. And the thing about blackberry vines is that I have to cut them. They aren't really branches, they're called runners. But whatever, I have to cut them small enough to bag them, and they're just covered in thorns. So even with my thick garden gloves, the rubber ones, I still get stabbed once in a while. And then I have to pull out thorns and foxtails from them. Tora, get out of my stuff. This is mine. Yeah, don't look innocent at me. I know you're a sneak thief. You want to dip your paw in my coffee, and coffee is bad for cats. So anyway, I've really focusing on one particular part of the blackberry vine because it's surrounding my fig tree. I've had that fig tree for 10 years, and probably more than that. I think at least 10 years. Still no figs. Fig trees grow slowly, and when I got it, it was less than 1 foot tall, less than 12 inches. I think I got a hold of the foxtail that's poking me. Yay! Ugly little thorn. You cats gotta quit sleeping on my sweater, or quit tracking in foxtails. They're nasty weeds, worse than ragweed for allergies. I don't get a runny nose and that kind of stuff. I get rashes on my skin when I pull the weeds. So my arms get all these rashes on them. Tora, get out of my stuff. I gave you treats. Spoiled brat cat. They're almost gone, and the delivery truck won't bring your new supply until tomorrow afternoon. Here, have some treats. Okay, let's put the box of kitchen tools back where it belongs, because I'm likely to trip on it. I'll forget it's there. All right. And there. Okay. Now knock it off, Tora. I gave you treats and you don't deserve them. Wow. Wowzer, Bowser. What else is going on? Well, it's really pretty quiet here in this rural mountain community. I heard that ICE was here, but I never saw them. We don't have much crime. So when there is a major crime, everybody's talking about it because it's so rare. And the worst thing we have is horrible car crashes on our mountain highways. Some people just don't know how to drive, especially when the roads get icy in the winter. And some fools just gotta drive too fast, and they'll lose control, usually on a curve. And go off the side, or on the other side of the road, they'll smash into the cliff above them. Tora, get out of my coffee. It's mine. Quit. Coffee's bad for cats. And I gave you treats twice now. Settle down. I don't know. I might be able to fall asleep, but if I do, I might not wake up. Even though my phone makes this horrible alarm at 7 in the morning on Thursdays to remind me to go on YouTube. I don't know. Anyway, it's been real. 40 minutes. Knock it off, Tora. The major problem with San Bernardino County, we're east of Los Angeles, south of Altadena and Victorville, north of Riverside County. Our government is nuts. No matter what you want to do, you go through a Machiavellian permit process. For example, our local hamburger joint, basically fast food, but really made well, not by an assembly line, but by people who actually know how to cook. Well, the lady who owned it passed away. She was very old. The A burger. It was originally an A and W, and this lady named Liz bought it, and rather than buy a new sign, she just removed the and W and called it the A. Well, she's gone. I think she passed away 5 years ago or more, and the family tried briefly to keep it going, but her children, her adult children, but they didn't know what they were doing, so they sold it. And for 5 years, the buyer has been trying to get the permits to open and sell burgers. I heard that they were going to open on Thursday. That's today. We'll see. But the whole problem has not been, fixing up the building, getting employees and supplies and stuff. The problem has been permits from the county. We're not in a city, we're not incorporated, so it's the county. I've heard that cities are even worse. Some cities, though, are not as bad as the county. So you pay for a permit application, you get all these inspections and orders to do this and that and buy something else and so forth. 5 years. It didn't take McDonald's 5 years to open here. I remember when they were built. I've forgotten what was there before them, but they bought a building, tore it down, and built a McDonald's in less than a year. But local people who want to do something good for the community, 5 years. And every time they think they're going to open, the county comes up with something else they have to do or buy or get rid of. Man. But it will mean a few jobs for local people. I heard they've already hired 6 people, even though there's nothing for them to do just yet. We'll see how it goes. I do not plan to visit them on opening day. It'll be too crowded. And they might even run out of food. We'll see. Then there was the time I thought I wanted a carport. just to keep the snow and tree dirt off of my car. And I went to the local, the government agency. I forget what they call them. And the guy was honest with me. He said, well, you pay $1,100 to apply for a permit, and you will be denied. They always deny. You can appeal the denial. It costs you another $1,100 or $1,200, and you'll probably lose the appeal. So I said, well, I guess I don't need a carport. Just a roof over my car in my driveway. Can't do it. But then a neighbor suggested, well, why don't you build an arbor and plant some vines to grow on the arbor? You don't need a permit for that. Well, I never did it, but it sounded like a good idea. And you can park your car underneath it. Well, never did it. I've got water and coffee here, in case you were wondering. Yes. Yeah, coffee will help me sleep, won't it, Tora? Oh, well. I can usually drink a whole cup of coffee right before going to bed and not have a problem falling asleep. Tell you, old age sucks. I'm 71 now. Even my son doesn't like being reminded of his birthdays. Well, there are rich people up here, but they're in Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear. I'm in Crestline, which is not a rich people's town, although there are some people who are doing very well. But most of them bought their houses before the prices skyrocketed. I've had this house now for 21 years. I couldn't buy it now. I couldn't get a loan because of interest rates, and I couldn't make the monthly payments I'd have to make now. Move, cat, move. Stay out of my coffee, Tora. Oh, I didn't mean to blow smoke in your face, but I'm glad I did. She got down. She knows what get down means. She's as bad as Simon's cat. Well, anyway, I've been on for 48 minutes now. By the way, Jimmy and Jen are in different time zones, so it probably isn't 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning for them. Let's see, 5 and 8, yeah, it's between noon and 1 o'clock in England, and I don't know what it is in, I know what I want. Oh, New Zealand. I almost called it New Guinea. But it's probably tomorrow in New Guinea because they're across the international date line. Probably morning in New Guinea. Tomorrow morning. Say 8 or 9 o'clock, something like that. I'm glad I went through the kitchen tools. It was good practice for the cooking show. I've been watching a cooking, sort of cooking show called I Want to Cook. He does some cooking on the show, but he's showing how various kitchen tools and appliances work. And at the end of each show, he has a trivia question. First, the answer to last week's question, and then a new trivia question. See if you know what this is. Like one time it was a squash. I forget, but sometimes it's a kitchen tool, like a potato ricer. I can't even remember what the last trivia question was, but I think I got the answer right. If I don't know and I look it up, I figure it would be cheating to put that in the chat, so I don't. Well, I finally figured out what Jimmy Beacon wrote. The pudding stirrer, he calls it a soup or OAR. I think that's what he said. He put an E on the end. We don't do that in American English. An oar, like for rowing a boat, I guess. Well, anyway, I think maybe I can at least relax for a little while and maybe wake up in time to do my show, my regular live between 7 and 8 in the morning, and until Verizon decides no bandwidth for you. I think I'll switch to either Spectrum or Frontier. We'll see. But I really don't want cable TV. I just want internet. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. Anyway, my roses are recovering from the mad rosebush hacker. I asked her to help me pull weeds last year, and she decided that meant she should bring her loppers and hack up my rose bushes. She actually made a path between the rose bushes. I don't want a path there. It's out front where people could walk through my yard and I could not see them out my window because of the rose bushes. And besides, she really damaged them. You don't just start at the bottom and hack off branches. That is not how you trim a rose bush. And you don't trim it in July anyway. You trim it in the fall and you cut the top. And you know, some branches will be longer than others. So if you want it to look pretty, you'll make them shorter. But you don't go right to the trunk and cut them off entirely. That's really bad for the health of the rose bush. Fortunately, they have survived, but the smaller ones that are not, older than dirt, are not doing well. And now I don't dare cut down the suckers because that might be all I have left. Suckers are branches that grow usually up from the ground, and they suck all the nutrients out of the roots at the expense of the rest of the rose bush. Solar flare protons are causing sleep disturbances and physical aches, Jimmy says, and even more severe stuff like palpitations, heart problems. Yeah, we have had a lot of solar flares. The sun is doing its thing. Also, a couple weeks ago, we had a lot of earthquakes, and around the Pacific Ring of Fire, it settled down a little, but we're still getting a lot of significant earthquakes, magnitude 6 or higher, and occasionally a tsunami warning, tsunami or tidal wave. Well, my physical aches are definitely from pulling weeds and raking weeds and bagging weeds. It isn't as bad as last year when I needed help. This year I'm doing it all myself. I don't know what the world is doing to itself. I do know that the Pacific Ocean, the bottom, the land in the Pacific is sliding under the North American plate. So the Pacific plate is going under, criminy, under the North American plate, and that kind of pushes things up. That's one reason why we have mountains. It does push the land up, but also most of our mountains here on the Pacific coast are volcanoes. Even the mountain I live on is a dormant volcano, but it is not likely to erupt in the next 1,000 years. However, about 600 years ago, maybe more, Mount Lassen up in Northern California erupted so strongly that it blew its top. And when it was all over, the Native Americans drew a picture and story about it on the wall of a cliff. And that cliff was formed by the volcano. It was not like on a mountain or something. It was just a cliff sitting there all by itself. Up in Lava Beds National Park, right next to Captain Jack's hideout, where this Native American war leader, war against the U.S. cavalry, made his last stand. He was hiding out among these volcanic structures that were kind of like a maze from Mount Lassen blowing its top and dropping huge boulders all over the place. Some of those, not just ashes, but actual rocks and boulders from Mount Lassen are on this mountain. That's how big the eruption was. Oh, yeah, our surroundings, our environment, geophysical stuff is really changing, and we are not doing it by driving an SUV. I just love how these elites tell us to get an all-electric car while they fly around the world in private jets. Do you know what jets burn? Yeah, they burn jet fuel, but do you know what jet fuel is? It's basically kerosene. It smells like it too. I've been near enough to a military airstrip to smell their fuel because they are not subject to the same environmental restrictions as commercial airports. Kerosene is a very low-grade chemical derived from oil. It's made in oil refineries. Back in my grandfather's day on the farm, their lamps that they used when they had to go outside at night burned kerosene. They were kerosene lamps. And the whole world, even the universe, is going nuts right now, Jimmy. Well, hi, Morgan. Tubes 4. Welcome in. Yeah, there's all kinds of radiation going on, and I just heard that Walmart had to recall their frozen shrimp. It's contaminated with a radioactive form of cesium. So either the shrimp grew up in parts of the ocean that have radioactive waste, or it happened during the processing. Homemade curry. I've tried to make curry, but I really like sweet spices, and most curry is on the hot side, hot peppers. Oh, Pio, welcome in. I'm not. Now it's 5:45. I'm supposed to go live between 7 and 8, but I couldn't sleep. Oh well. I might actually eat breakfast this morning. I usually don't. Last night I had cookies for dinner. Nothing quite as good as milk and cookies. And I made the cookies myself. You know, you get that recipe on the back of a bag of Toll House morsels, chocolate chips. Well, I made half a batch with the chocolate chips and half of the batch with caramel chips. I did the same last week, but I wasn't satisfied because the cookies were not the way Mom made them. They were like a lot like cookies you buy at the store. Yeah, good, but not what I was aiming for. So this time I cut down on the amount of flour because the way Mom made them, they were really, really flat and thin. And the edges would be crispy while the inside was soft. And they came out that way this time, just by reducing the amount of flour. And Mom was a terrible cook, but she made good chocolate chip cookies. So I got to walk down memory lane to a good memory. Right around Christmas, she'd recruit all of her kids, all four of us, although number 4 wasn't all that helpful. She'd help us eat cookies. Anyway, to mix the batter, plop the dough onto cookie sheets, and then Mom would put the cookie sheet in the oven for about 10 minutes. Anyway, I ate the last of the cookies. I gave some away to the man who hauls my trash and won't let me pay him, and to the lady who bought me a, what do you call it? I call it a swamp cooler. They call it an evaporative cooler. It's a device that is basically a fan, but if you want to cool your house, you put water in the reservoir and it'll blow water, which is good here because we have low humidity. So we want more water in our air. And it works pretty well. It's portable, sort of. It's on wheels, and it's not terribly heavy. It's quiet. I like it. Man, I've been on over an hour now. An hour and 7 minutes. I think it's time to maybe get some food in me or something like that. I don't usually eat breakfast, but today it sounds good. I think a fried egg sandwich is in order. You fry an egg and deliberately break the yolk and mix it up so that in the pan. So, well, if you want to be really chefy, like a chef, you put the egg in a bowl and beat it. I just drop it into the pan and use the spatula to break the yolk. And you put it on either bread or toast with lots of mayonnaise and, of course, some salt on the egg. It's really great with a glass of orange juice. I don't have orange juice right now, but I do have lemonade. When I was a poor college student, I used to live on the fried egg sandwiches from the school cafeteria. I'd get a cup of coffee while I was waiting for the sandwich. And I'd have the fried egg sandwich and one of those little single-serve cartons of orange juice for lunch. It makes a good breakfast, too. But I don't eat breakfast, but I feel like I'm hungry now. It's either that or fry some Spam and add it to some mac and cheese. I think I'll do that later at dinner time. And by the way, I finally learned how to make macaroni and cheese with real cheese, so I don't have to use that packet stuff. I used to just make it, from the box with the packet they include, and then add grated cheese to it. But now I know how to make the cheese sauce without the packet. It's a little more work and gets another pan dirty. Well, that's okay. You boil the macaroni in one pan, so it isn't a big deal to clean that pan when you're through. But then in another pan, I melt butter and mix flour into it. They all say to use equal amounts of butter and flour, but I like to add a little extra butter, partly for the flavor and partly because I want to be sure that the flour gets completely soaked into the oily butter. And you, on low or medium heat, you mix the flour and butter together. You don't want it brown, but you want it cooked to where you are not going to get that uncooked flour flavor. And when you're satisfied, you add either milk or cream, preferably warmed at least to room temperature, not straight from the fridge, but I don't bother. I'm impatient. So I slowly, a little at a time, add the cold milk and stir it in. And then you add your grated cheese. Before I knew all that, I used to just try to mix cheese and milk, and it never came out right. You need the flour and butter for the cheese to mix in properly. And then, of course, it thickens. And if it ends up not thick enough, you could add more flour, but it's going to have that taste of raw flour, and it'll probably make lumps no matter what you do. So I take a little cornstarch. Jimmy calls it corn flour. Same thing. But in England, their words are slightly different from ours. Well, you mix it with some cold water and mix it really well. And you pour a little at a time into your sauce. The sauce has to be hot. Keep it on the heat when you add the slurry of cornstarch and water. And be careful, give it some time, because if you add too much of the slurry, your sauce won't be sauce anymore. It'll get really thick and solid, and that is not what you want. Now, if I miscalculated and the sauce is coming out too thick, I take a ladle, cat hair, sorry, cat hair everywhere. You take a ladle and get some of the pasta water and stir that into your sauce to make it thinner. I can't give you exact amounts. I don't measure. But for one of those boxes for the amount of noodles in them, I usually use about 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 scant tablespoons. In other words, not quite full tablespoons of flour. And then just milk until I like the look of the sauce. And remember, it will get thicker when you add the grated cheese. And you can use whatever kind of cheese you want, but I recommend the hard cheeses like Jack, cheddar, Colby. If you're into hot peppers, you can use pepper jack, but I'm not into hot peppers, so I don't. You could use mozzarella. I think Smokey wants in. Let me see. Yes, she does. I'll be right back. Hang on, the Smoky Sue. Are you coming in? Come on. That's a good girl. No, Tora, you are not going out. Are you out of your mind? It's dark and scary out there. Okay. And here, I should do that on my cooking show. So, cat hair. Evil cats. So, Jimmy made 20 pounds. Oh, he has to say in weight because pounds are British money. Damson preserve. No sugar, just cinnamon and gelatin. Damson, I should know what that is. I believe it's a kind of fruit. Plums. Well, plums probably don't need sugar, but you got wild fruit from nearby farms. Harvest season now. Well, if you wanted to keep your jam not to go bad and moldy and so forth, you really need some lemon juice. But those damson plums are sweet enough, you probably don't need sugar. But it'll keep longer if you add some lemon juice. I used to make tons of jam and either sell it or give it away. I can't do it physically now the way I used to. So once in a while I make a batch of jam and share it with friends and family. Yeah, plum jam is good stuff too. Anyway, I use a type of pectin, not gelatin, but it does the same thing. I use pectin that basically you don't have to add sugar. It's a special kind of pectin. You really, it works better than regular pectin. And I can make it with half as much sugar as the recipe calls for, or with no sugar at all. But you really need the lemon juice. Hang on, my water's empty. Let's see. Yes, Smoky Sue. Uh, One thing you will learn as you grow older is the real reason you can't sleep through the night is you have to get up and pee. And then you're dehydrated, so you drink some water, and guess what? A few hours later, you have to get up and pee. I'm trying to harvest enough blackberries this year to actually make jam. I had to seriously cut back my best blackberry vine because people were coming around in the middle of the night and stripping off all the berries. Not just the ones that stick outside the fence. I don't mind that. They were breaking into my yard and stripping all the berries off that vine in the middle of the night. Loads of pectin in damson plums. That's good to know. Yeah. Some fruits, well, pectin is naturally in fruits, and some fruits have enough that you don't need to add it from your packet or jar of pectin, but most fruits need it. Apples have a lot of pectin. It's mostly in the peels, and what people used to do is peel the apples and boil the peels and cores to get pectin for making jam with the fruit, the apple or any fruit. I have an apple tree. We'll see whether it has a good crop this year. Oh, you're turning some of the preserve into chutney. I really like mango chutney. It tastes very much like pickle relish, sweet pickle relish. Gelatin thickens much like pectin does, but you still need to discourage mold from growing. That's why the lemon juice. Some people use vinegar, but I don't like that flavor. Lemon juice is what I use in my preserves, jams, and jellies. Anyway, we'll see whether I can make jam from my blackberries. I have to let my poor back heal from all the weeding and trimming. The blackberry vine in the backyard is a monster. It just keeps growing more runners and leaves, but no berries. So I'll keep cutting it back. Maybe the new growth will have berries. The one in the front, the one I kept in front, I cut it way back last autumn, and this year it's just covered in berries. So maybe all the trimming on the one in the backyard will have the same effect, and I'll get berries. I think I should either get something to eat or try to snooze for an hour. I've been on an hour and 24 minutes with nothing to say, really. Maybe I should go on the cooking show, but I'm not sure I want to right now. Well, I'd love to turn the berry bush into a natural fence, but it's in the middle of the yard, not on the edge. Well, I think what I want to do is put up a fence to kind of corral the blackberry vine. If it has a fence to grow on, it might quit spreading across the ground. We'll see. I'll do something for it. Lord, I just have to have time and energy. And regardless of code enforcement and their clear the weeds picture, I can only assume they thought the hollyhocks were weeds because they grow up straight and tall. They have all these pretty flowers. They don't branch out, they just have a trunk with leaves on it. But I do have weeds to pull. They just don't have pictures of them. And I'm not doing it to please them. I'm doing it to keep my home safe in case of a fire. I'm also finding all kinds of little baby trees like 2 inches tall. And I have to remove them because there's no room for more trees. I have enough trees as it is. Tora thinks she wants out. She'll have to wait till at least 7 in the morning. And it's only 6:08. You'll have to wait another hour, Tora. Yeah, so anyway, I think it's time to sign off, but I really appreciate all of you coming in. Let's see. Type and talk at the same time. Thank you all for coming here and have a great day. And I might be back between 1 and 2 hours from now, assuming I'm still awake and able to. And so, I'm not gone forever. Smokey Sue, knock it off. That's outside play. Leave poor Tutu alone. Bad cats. See ya.